With me are members of the board, David Little, Robert Wilkinson, Sabella Santagrow, Austin Higgins, and Matthew Cole. So we have a quorum, a full quorum of 5 members. There is no old business because the minutes haven't yet been distributed. So because I am participating remotely, and our Vice Chairman Austin Higgins is also participating remotely, I've asked David Little to chair this meeting. It's just more efficient to chair from somebody present there. So thank you, David, for agreeing to do that, and I hand it over to you.
Okay, thank you very much. New business, case number 2026-01, the continuation from February 18th. Michelle Lavelle has applied for a special permit to set forth in MGL Chapter 40A, Section 6 under the Orleans zoning bylaw. And there are several items that she has applied for, but given the new materials that we've received, I'll turn it over to you, Ben, because some of the things that you were asking for are no longer needed.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Little, and thank you all for the members online as well. My name is Ben Zender, and I'm here on behalf of Jim and Michelle Lavelle, who are with us today. They came in from Texas to watch the proceedings and lend their support. And before I begin, if the chair doesn't mind, Jim would like to just say a couple of words to the board about the project.
Introduce yourself and go ahead.
Well, thank you.
Thanks. I'm Jim Lavelle, my wife Michelle,
Hi, everybody.
and we're delighted to be able to be here tonight. We think it's important that we underscore how important this project is to us and our family, and so hopefully you'll see that we took very seriously the concerns that were aired previously by the board. And Ben and Rob, the architects, and Sean and Ian worked diligently to come up with some solutions to hopefully address the concerns that you have. So I'm going to pass it back to the team and have them bring us through all that, but you can ask any questions that you'd like, of course.
Okay, so with us also, just so you know, behind me are the architectural team. It's Rob McPhee and Kendra Seifert and Diana Zaglio. Online, we have Ian Peach from Wilkinson to address any vegetation issues, and Sean Riley is logging in from his vacation from Tybon to address any engineering concerns the board may have. First of all, just to let you...
Just before you get going, Ben, Bob has recused himself.
Right.
Austin, am I correct to assume that you've reviewed the earlier meeting and you're prepared to vote on this and be the 5th member?
That is correct. I reviewed the February 18th meeting, and I will sign an attestation at some point prior to the filing of the decision.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, David. Okay, so first of all, I'd like to address a couple of issues that came up at the last hearing, and then describe to you just in very brief detail the changes to the application. First of all, at the last hearing, Davis Walters identified the question as to whether or not the guest house was going to require separate zoning relief as being in excess of the size of what your ADU bylaw allows to have. You may recall the guest structure was roughly 1,400 and change square feet. We submitted a request to Davis Walters. He then came back with his determination, which we've submitted to you by way of his email response, which says that because the guest house is not intensifying the non-conforming nature of the structure in terms of its use, it does not require separate zoning relief for the review. Of course, generally, the guest house, as part of the application, requires your review of the project generally. The other significant change to this application in terms of the way that it's postured in front of the board is that the architectural team, working with Jim and Michelle, were able to make changes to the project in a number of areas, including the dimensions of the guest house, the dimensions of the southerly enclosed porch, the front entryway, the covered porch facing the water, all in an effort to get the building coverage down below 4,000 square feet. And what that does is that means that we no longer need from this board a special permit to exceed 4,000 square feet of building coverage, and at the appropriate time, if the chair feels it's appropriate, I will ask the board to consider allowing us to withdraw that particular relief without prejudice. The other thing that we've done is we've provided some additional materials to the board. First and foremost, there's a house size comparison which although the project is under 4,000 square feet, you're still determining whether or not the project is not substantially more detrimental and whether it's in keeping with the character of the neighborhood. We've submitted, and I'm not going to run the board through the analysis, you have it to look at, but basically what we've identified is we've drawn a line around the 20 nearest homes to this. And we didn't select this out to try to get bigger or smaller homes, we just drew a line around the neighborhood. Of those 20 homes, 14 are over 4,000 square feet of building coverage. The average building coverage over those 20 homes was 4,774. So the reason that's important for us is that in looking at this house, where Jim and Michelle have designed a home that no longer has a basement, that is keeping the height almost constant, but for the fact that it's being lifted up to meet flood zone requirements, and given the visuals that you have, and I think maybe I can find this to put up on the screen for the members. I'm not sure if the members can see the what's on the screen, but this right here, these photographs, can the members at home see this okay?
Yes, they can.
Okay, great, thank you. Yeah. Okay, so this shows the existing home. You're looking at it from the western side, looking towards the water. This is looking at it from the water. It's kind of an amalgam of different structures put together. I'll note for the board that the Historic Review Committee heard this matter last week and determined that it did not require any review by the Historic Review Committee. And this last structure shows sort of the way the structure was put together. When we get down to, let's see if I can get us down here. Photographs of the property. These are the photographs of the house as designed. You'll see that it's a consistent, coherent design. It uses traditional materials. It uses a lot of varied roof lines to minimize scale and massing of the project. It's separating the project into two structures, which further reduces the scale and the massing of the project. And then when we look at it, this is looking at it from the south side. The members can see that porch that we were talking about on the south side that is the closest to the top of the coastal bank, that it's actually a single-story structure, which minimizes the massing of the structure closest to that side of the coastal bank. And then when we look at the structure from the water side, you can see that again, it shows varied roof lines, a lot of efforts to minimize the scale, minimize the massing, a lot of insets, different varied colored trim. I'll note for the board that this was reviewed and approved by the Conservation Commission, that the members know that one of the criteria for approval is the view of the structure from the resource and whether it's aesthetically consistent with what they're looking for in the resource. So we're hoping that when you look at the size of the structure, with these visuals, you'll see that the structure is certainly consistent with what we're looking for in waterfront properties in East Orleans. And finally, this image that I'm showing you right now, and I'm going to look for a way to try to make this a little bit smaller.
Bottom right corner.
Thank you. This image right here is showing you why the coastal bank is such an issue for this property. When you look at this, the top of this image is Nauset Harbor. You can see that the house is located is actually set back a fairly good distance from the top of the coastal bank, and the red shaded area you're looking at is the coastal bank itself. So the top of the coastal bank is the shaded area that wraps around the main dwelling. You'll see that actually the coastal bank incursions that are the most significant of this property are actually on the bottom side of the main dwelling. That would be the west side of the dwelling, maybe the south. It's probably the south, actually, I'm sorry, New Orleans. And then on the east side of the guest house. So the purpose of this bylaw really is to minimize the intrusion of these houses from scale and massing from what the public is going to see from a resource. So in reality, the house is set back a good distance from what the public is going to see, primarily, which is Nauset Harbor. It's the way that this resource wraps around and approaches both the guest house site and the main house site. And then the members can see, looking at the topo lines in this, the lot then begins a steady climb up to the rear of the lot, which is the reason why location of the structure back in this area was problematic for the applicant, and why the Conservation Commission believed that locating it where it is now was acceptable, rather than destroying the flora and the fauna in the back part of the lot. So those are essentially the changes that we've made. I'm happy for the chair, if the chair wants to go through the special permit granting criteria, which we did not go through last time. It's really up to the board. We normally don't go through them, but I'm happy to recite them just for the members generally, in the hopes that you will understand that this project is not substantially more detrimental, and that it's also consistent with not only other homes in the area, but also with what you're looking for in the site itself.
That's up to you, Ben, if you.
Yeah, let me just do it very quickly, if you don't mind. I'll make it as quick as I can, because I know the hour is going to be late. So, your standards for the granting of a special permit under 164-44C are: 1, adequacy of the site in terms of size for the proposed use. This is a fairly large lot, and it has buildable upland. It has buildable upland of, hold on 1 second, I'm gonna get to my plan here real quick.
40,564.
Yeah, it's 40,564 buildable upland, but then it has total lot area of 63,162 square feet. The suitability of the site for the proposed use, all of the lots in this area are used for single-family residential use. The waterfront homes tend to be a little larger, but the site is certainly suitable. When you come down the driveway, there's adequate area to get within the site, to get to the house, to use the house without impinging on your neighbors. Impact on traffic flow and safety. We don't anticipate any traffic flow. We're reducing the bedroom count on this from 7 bedrooms to 6 bedrooms on the site. Impact on neighborhood visual character, including views and vistas. We believe, and this is a subjective determination obviously, that this house is attractively designed, that it will be attractive from people on the water, it will be attractive from people that can see it from other parts of the neighborhood. Adequacy of the message or sewage disposal, source of water and drainage. It's connected to town water, I believe. And it has a new septic system which will service it. Adequacy of utilities and other public services available from the street to the property. Noise and litter. We don't anticipate any significant noise or litter problems. We're hoping that Jim and Michelle will treat the property nicely. Impact on groundwater quality, recharge volume, water quality of coastal and fresh surface water bodies. As we said before, it's been approved by the Conservation Commission, which has as its mandate protection of those resources that we have, including groundwater and including surface water bodies. So I'm hoping with those statements, we have Ian Peach here to address the planting plan, which I'm not going to ask him to address unless the board has questions about the vegetation. I will note that we did provide the plan. There was a significant revegetation effort on this property. And also Sean's here to address any engineering questions if you have any about either the height of the structure or the flood zone construction or the coastal bank itself. So with those things being said, I would hope to be able to answer any questions that you have. Thank you.
Okay. I'll turn it over to questions from the board. Why don't we start online? Matt, can we start off with you?
I have no questions. Much improved presentation, much improved project, so thank you for such a great return visit here.
Thanks, Matt. Jerry?
Yeah, I just want to say, Ben, I think you know that I expressed our concerns about the size of the last hearing, and it was not size qua size, it was size because of the proximity to the coastal bay, leaning over the bay. And I'll echo Matt's commendation for the changes you've made, and I think that, as you know, having us not have to go through jumping over the hoop for size on a building that's right on the coastal bay, I think aids the project and aids the work of this committee. And I again commend you for the changes that have been made and the shrinkage of the size.
Austin?
I have no additional comments. I'm satisfied with the application in its revised state.
Sabella?
No questions.
I don't have any questions either. I think that, I know I'm going to support the project, so I think you've heard from the commissioners. The next thing I'd like to do is ask, is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak in favor of this, or would like to speak in opposition to this? Is there anybody online, Peggy, that has their hand raised?
No hands raised?
I do have 6 or 7 emails that I'm going to read into the record. And I'll read them into the record in the order that they came in to the Secretary's office at the town clerk. The first one is from Nancy Parker Smith, no address given. To the members of the Orleans ZBA, I can't explain why the legal ad for this case in the Cape Cod Chronicle 2526 caught my eye. This is not a section I review, but I hope this moment of serendipity will help prevent further destruction to what remains of our precious coastline. I did not personally attend the meeting on 2/18/26, but for a first with this town, I watched the Zoom meeting version, and I write this by my own recall with no further review of the minutes. I want to thank the ZBA Board Chair and the Town Building Commissioner for their perspectives regarding this very, I may be quoting, aggressive proposal on the shore at the end of Tonsett Road. I find it an oxymoron that according to a member of the ZBA and also of the Conservation Commission that the site plan was approved unanimously by the Conservation Commission. Huh? I live across the street from a second house in excess of 4,000 square feet that was recently built extremely proximal to the wetlands that remains unsold. On Zillow, it's listed as a 10/10 flood risk. I jokingly say Snows will soon be selling home furniture with flotation. I endlessly moan and scoff at the rollover of common sense and bylaws put in place to protect being replaced by apparently legal processes that propagate ZBA appeals that serve, in this case, the LLC owner with a Dallas, Texas address. This precious time of year, when I see the majority of recently constructed homes, mostly in well excess of 2,500 square feet, all have driveways unplowed as no one is in them. The town was never without growing pains, as it has been and continues to be a very fragile coastal environment that has to be treated differently, and personally I think there should be priority, grudgingly as it may seem to be to some. The altered habitat no longer supports much of what used to ecologically thrive here. I'm 70 years old and I have resided in Orleans since the early 70s. Pretty soon, we who manage to keep active in the workforce and have families as well as own our own homes will be bygone as well. I hope that the board chair's words of perspective become very loud and not be silenced to acquiesce or appease any other members of the ZBA or appeals petitioners. The plan, of course, should be scaled to appropriate size, and therefore no appeals should be needed, no excess destruction of the environment. The purchase may have some degrees of precipitation, but also had to be done with full knowledge of the pending environmental challenges. The owner should be accountable for their waterfront purchase and not claim any hardship. It is the environment and the community which will suffer from this preposterous proposal. Thank you, Nancy Parker Smith. This email is from Michael Vaughn, who lives at 351 Tonsett Road. Good morning, Ms. Higgins. My wife Kim and I live at 351 Tonsett Road. We are writing to strongly support Jim and Michelle's efforts to build a new family home at 355 Tonsett. The Lavells have been great neighbors. They respect how special our neighborhood is. Their plans are beautiful, thoughtful, and consistent, and complementary with the environment. We urge you to approve their proposal so they can begin a new chapter with their growing family. Peace, Michael Vaughn. This email is from Adrian Brodeur at 361 Tonsett Road. Dear Ms. Higgins, we're writing in support of Jim and Michelle Lavelle's proposal to build their very new family home at 355 Tonsett Road. Over the past several years, they've proven themselves to be exceptional neighbors thoughtful, considerate, and respectful of what makes our neighborhood special. Along the way, they have also been generous about keeping those of us nearby informed about their plans, which speak to the care they have taken in approaching this project. The design they've shared feels like an improvement on what's currently there and very much in keeping with the character of Tonsett Road. We hope their proposal will be approved so they can continue building their life here in the neighborhood. Best, Adrian and Tim. This email is from Bill and Betty O'Brien, who live at 349 Tonsett Road. Ms. Higgins, my name is Bill O'Brien, and together with my wife Betty, I have lived at 349 Tonsett Road since 1998. We have had the opportunity to review the plans for the residence that Jim and Michelle Lavelle plan to construct at 355 Tonsett Road. The Lavelles have gone out of their way to keep us informed of their plans as things have progressed. They have been in the words of the day, good neighbors. We wanted to write in support of this planned construction. Their new residence is a major enhancement to the property and the neighborhood, and their design has been sensitive to creating much more of a Cape Cod feel than the existing residence. Best regards, Bill and Betty O'Brien. Steve Brodeur, who owns 361 Tonsett Road. I am a trustee of the Brewster 2012 Irrevocable Trust that owns 361 Tonsett Road. We are abutters to Jim and Michelle Lavelle, who own property at 355 Tonsett Road. The Lavelles are planning renovations to their house and have been in front of various Town of Orleans boards and commissions getting various permissions. They have shared the plans for their new house with me and have explained what they're doing. I am supportive. Their plans are a big upgrade from the eyesore that is there now. Thank you, Steve. Bob Howard, 350 Tonsett Road. Dear Ms. Higgins, I am writing to lend my support in favor of the Lavelles' proposed house at 355 Tonsett Road. I currently reside at 350 Tonsett, which my grandparents purchased in 1959 across the street from 347 Tonsett, where my mother and younger brother reside. Having grown up in the area, I can recall when the house at 355 Tonsett was reconstructed in the 1970s to its present form. When the Lavelles shared their plans for 355 Tonsett last year, I found them to be in keeping with evolving Cape Cod designs that incorporate a New England feel with the natural environment, features not reflected in the current 70s styles construction. The attention given to an environmentally focused landscape with the designated plantings and carefully selected locations reflect an appreciation for the local ecology. Robert Howard. Peter Howard at 347 Tonsett. Dear Ms. Higgins, I am writing in support of the Lavelle project at 355 Tonsett Road. Jim and Michelle have been kind enough to share the plans of the proposed construction of their new home. Having grown up and returning to 347 Tonsett, our family has a deep connection with their property dating back to 1967. I have found the architecture to be tasteful and a great improvement to the existing 70s contemporary style presently there. The site plan is perfect for the lot. Thank you, Peter Howard. So that is all the correspondence that we received via email. Ben, would you like to add anything?
I would not. Thank you.
So I will, is there anything else from the members of the board?
Do we need a motion to close the public comment, or are we all set with that?
I was just getting there.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to close the meeting for public comment. Ms.
Yes.
Sibel? Yes. David? Yes. Matthew?
Yes.
Austin?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Okay, so it's been closed for public comment. Any final comments from the board members?
I'll move we grant the special permit as amended.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor, Sibel?
Yes.
David, yes. Matt?
Yes.
Austin?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Thank you all. Do you want me to draft the decision?
There's one matter of housekeeping.
Yes, I would respectfully request that the board allow us to withdraw our application for a special permit to exceed 4,000 square feet without prejudice.
Okay.
So
So,
moved.
it's been moved
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor of allowing them to withdraw that portion of the request? Sibel?
Yes.
David, yes. Matt?
Yes.
Austin?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes, and if Ben would send us a draft of the decision, that would be very helpful.
I'll be happy to. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
David, before we go on, I need to recuse myself in this case. But before I leave, I would like to...
I'm sorry, I can't hear you, Jerry. There's, can,
I'll take them outside.
I was remiss at the meeting last time in not commending Dennis Commissioner Davis for all this good memo he did with Scott Smith, how was giving us the history and the non-conformities. It was very helpful in understanding the issues and made it a very simple case. Once we made that very clear. And again tonight, very helpful memo on the guest house versus the independent unit. So thank you to Davis and Davis for that. They're very helpful, both those members.
so you're recusing, Jerry?
Yes, I'm recused from this case.
Okay.
So thank you all very much. Good night.
Thanks, Jerry.
I'm gonna turn that off if you don't mind. Perfect, thank you very much. So the board members hearing this case will be Sibel Antigrul, myself, David Little, Bob Wilkinson, Austin Higgins, and Matt Cole. Case 2026-05, the applicant, 65 Tohi LLC, has applied for a special permit as set forth in MGL-A, Chapter 40A, Section 6, under the Orleans zoning bylaw. Section 164-21A, footnote 5, to allow for the building coverage in excess of 4,000 square feet in a residential district. The applicant is proposing a new single-family dwelling, and the property is located at 65 Towie Lane, map 92, parcel 59. If you could introduce yourselves, please.
Don Bliss, I'm the builder and also principal in 65 Towie Lane, Towie LLC, excuse me.
Kieran Healy, I'm a land surveyor with the BSC Group, representing Mr. Bliss here tonight. As you had mentioned, we are looking for a special permit.
Sorry, Karen, just for the record, our attorney, Christopher Corain, unfortunately had another matter that precluded him from being here, but would like to proceed without him.
Very well.
So Kieran will go over the technicals and I can answer any other questions that might come up.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. As you mentioned, we are here under 164-44 for relief and special permit under the Orleans zoning bylaw. Specifically, we are looking to permit a house that is bigger than the 4,000 square feet that is allowed. You will see it by the plan that this is a pretty large site. There is 47,000 square feet of upland, and then there is another, combined with some wetland, there's a total of 76,000 square feet of land on the property. The wetland here is a little bit unusual in that it is down at the base of the property where it is dry most of the year, but because it's within the flood zone, it creates a coastal bank, and as such it's considered wetlands. There was an existing house out there, and that has been removed, and we have pushed everything back from the coastal bank. The existing house is now completely outside of the resource areas. We have been to Conservation Commission and received approval. We have also been to Health Department and received approval from the Health Department. The The lot coverage right now, as you know, in this area is 15%, and we are at 12.3% when we just use the upland area. When you use the total lot, it reduces down to 6.9%. The house that we're proposing is 4,130 square feet. A portion of that is roofed area, but over porches, so it's open area, but it is roofed. And then the boathouse is existing at 1,130 square feet. The building is in keeping with the neighborhood. It is a large site, as I mentioned, is further back from the water, so it's in keeping with the idea of minimizing the view from the water on these properties. It conforms with all setbacks, it conforms with building height, it conforms with the lot coverage 15% requirement, and we need relief on the being greater than 4,000 square feet. With that, Mr. Bliss and I would be glad to answer any questions that you may have.
Just one, in reviewing your application, before I open it up to the other people in the room, on the coverage page of the special permit, you indicate the buildable upland is 47,829 square feet with a percent coverage of 10.7. But on the plan, you call out the upland is 42,855 square feet with a total coverage of 12.3.
Correct, and if I could explain what happened there is we had submitted to the Conservation Commission based on the numbers that are in the document that you have, and after review with the Conservation Commission, they asked us to modify the line so it was a little bit more inland, if you will, and as a result it reduced the upland area. The numbers that are on the plan are the revised numbers, and those are the ones that you should be using.
So the total proposed coverage is 5,260,
Yes,
and the total upland area is 42,885,
that is correct.
and resulting in 12.3%.
That is correct.
I think we should note that 1,130 square feet of that is the boathouse, which is essentially over water.
Mhm.
So the actual structure of the house, as Karen said, is 4,100 square feet.
What's unusual about this is that we're counting the boathouse as structure, but we're not counting the land underneath it as land, because we can only use the upland. So even though it is over the wetland, we're counting it in the 5260, I'm sorry.
And as you should.
Yeah, but, so it's a little unusual in that we can't count the land under, but we have to count the boathouse in that.
And one other note before the questions, there, 77 Tohey Lane, 74 Tohey Lane, 71 Tohey Lane, and 53 Tohey Lane are all in excess of 4,000 square feet. I developed 71 Tohey Lane. The board initially approved a house of over 5,000 square feet for that, and we actually reduced the size of that when we came to amend that order. So it's certainly in keeping with the other structures on the water side of in that area of Tohey Lane. It'd actually be smaller than 53 and comparable to 71.
David, just sticking with your line of questioning, how many total structures will there be on the property? I'm seeing an indication of a shed or some other structures, so
The shed's been removed.
as we look at that coverage calculation, is it simply the house and the boathouse and every other structure will be raised?
They have been, yeah. It's strictly the house and the boathouse.
Okay, thank you.
Sibel, any questions?
Those other properties that you mentioned, do they also have boathouses?
Two out of, well, two have boathouses on the water, 77 and 71. And 53 has a second accessory structure that's set back from the water.
And those are included in the square footage that you indicated?
Yes, I mean, the field cards are available.
Sure.
You can, they're all over 4,000, yes. They all have secondary structures. 77, in fact, has two. It has an ADU, guest house, and a boathouse. So 77 actually has three structures. 71 just has the boathouse and the main house, and 53 has the main house and a secondary ADU, which is not, I don't know how you classify it. It's not, it's down near the water, but it's not over water. All the boathouses on all three of the 77, 71, and 65 are existing. They're all Chapter 91. They've all been there for a fairly substantial amount of time.
Bob?
I feel strongly that any house over 4,000 square feet should be 100 feet back from the coastal bank for the benefit of the voting committee that have to look at it, and I applaud you folks because your house is 100 feet back, so I don't have any problem with it.
Austin?
I don't have any questions or comments. I found the application to be quite satisfactory. I had a similar thought to you. Thought on that was the moving of the structure, or moving of the existing dwelling further from the water. I found to be a good choice.
Matt?
Is there any proposed expansion or substantial change to the boathouse itself?
No, strictly a renovation. We're just upgrading, and it's all in keeping with the Conservation Committee's aesthetics. All cedar, natural decking, black windows, no painted trim, nothing. So stainless steel cable rail. I don't know if anybody on the board has seen the boathouse at 71 since we rehabbed it, but it's going to have a similar, it's bigger obviously than 71 was, but it's the same. So you have white cedar siding, red cedar roof. The windows will be black. The decking is Garapa in this case because Ipe is hard to get, but it's a natural wood decking and then has a stainless steel cable rail. But no, there is no expansion, strictly a renovation.
So doing that work, you're over the water at all tides. What means and methods do you take to protect the waterway during that work?
Well, we did the deck first. We had some screening underneath it. We typically work at low tide. Now that the deck is done, we have plastic and tarps over the deck at all times when anything's going on. So we're very cognizant of protecting the waterway, as we were when we did the 71 renovation.
Got it. I don't have any further questions. It looks like a fair plan. It might not be a bad idea to put in a condition relative to the waterway protection if the other board members feel it's necessary. Otherwise, I'd be in favor of this.
I think I defer to your expertise on that, Matt. I'd be happy to have it be a condition, especially if it seems as though the applicant is in follow.
An order of conditions was issued for this by the Conservation Commission that I think addresses most of your concerns, Matt, and we could make the order of conditions part of our approval, couldn't we?
That'd be great.
I don't really have much to add. I will say that Tohi Lane is a area of very large homes. So this is not, this is in keeping with the neighborhood character, and I like the fact that you have porches because that reduces the massing from what you see with it. But I don't have any other questions.
And we did make a conscious effort, as Karen said, to, I mean, obviously for conservation reasons as well, that we did take the house and consciously push it. It's outside of both the 100-foot and the ACEC. So the house and the boat, basically we have no structure in the ACEC, other than the boathouse. But there's no new structure.
Is there anyone in the room that has comments, positive or negative, regarding this proposal? Yes, ma'am. Would you please come up to the table and introduce yourself?
My name is Jane Rockline. I live at 58 Towey Lane. And I'd like to comment about the proposed spec house. My husband and I bought our property on Towey Lane in 1979. And we spent summers on the lane for many years. When it was time to retire, we had to make a choice between Orleans and our home in a lovely beach community on the South Fork of Long Island in the village of Southampton that is less than half the size of Orleans. We chose Orleans because of the character of Towey Lane and the natural beauty of the town of Orleans with the traditional and modern Cape Cod style houses that predominate. We left a beautiful village with many large homes similar to the one of issue this evening. The difference is the large homes were on large lots, on wide two-lane roads, and were mostly hidden behind high hedges, and the large trophy homes set aside on the 8-foot wide lane of Towey Lane are not appropriate for the area. They're not the typical Cape Cod home. The 5 existing homes have a total of 25 bedrooms. If the spec house has 6 more, it will be 31 bedrooms on an area of 5 to 6 acres of buildable land. The 5 existing homes are occupied in the summer and some weekends in spring and fall, and remain empty the rest of the year. That doesn't mean that there is no traffic to these homes in the off-season. The traffic is considerable all year. A carpenter doing some work for me commented, quote, "For its size, this has to be the busiest road in Orleans." Generally, people who own large homes do not wash their windows and mow their lawns. And because this lot that we speak about tonight is much higher than the lots on either side, the spec house will be even more imposing than the large houses on either side and will loom over the small 8-foot wide lane. My once lovely view of a garden is now the view of an asphalt driveway and a 3-car garage with the equivalent of a small house above it. When this house is completed at 65 Towey, it appears I will be looking at another driveway and an enormous high house. I realize that the owner has cleared all the hurdles and is entitled to build a 4,000 square foot home. However, I want to request that you, all of you, ask yourselves this question as you contemplate your decision. Why isn't 4,000 feet enough? Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Peggy, is there anybody online with their hand raised?
I don't see any hands raised.
Any other comments before we close it to the...
David?
Oh, sir.
No, I'm okay. I live on Boulder Lane, right behind where the construction's going on. And is it my understanding that this is an LLC operation that's going to go in there?
Yes, the applicant is an
So
LLC.
basically, aren't they rentals that go, there's not a year-round property owner, not a year-round tenant, right?
That's not part of our purview. We don't,
Wait, clarify that for me?
we don't
You don't get involved with LLC?
We don't get involved with whether an owner of a property wants to rent it or not. We're here to address the special permit criteria, which is specifically, as Mrs. Rockline stated, the building coverage in excess of 4,000 square feet.
Okay. And then my understanding is that the two properties on either side of this construction now are lower than what this one is?
Much.
Yes.
Well, excuse me, David, the one to the 53 is definitely not lower. 53 is up on the top of the bluff, and it's basically about the same distance from Towie Lane that ours will be. 71, yes, is set down a little more. 77 is actually elevated above ours, so that's not really an
Well, how
accurate
tall is this house gonna be from ground to top tallest
It
point?
can't be more than 30 feet.
We have a height restriction of 30 feet that anyone can,
So, okay, so that would be the maximum. then.
that would be the maximum it could be. And that's measured from the natural grade at the street side of the structure.
What is the setback from the street to the front door?
25-foot minimum,
And where is the street measured from?
from the edge of the right-of-way. So Tohey Lane is believe it or not, it's a 40-foot right-of-way. It's laid out 40 feet wide. But the traveled surface, as you said, is very narrow. It's only one car can pass.
And on the remainder of the 40 feet, most of the residents have landscaped it. So
Everybody tends to do their landscaping to the edge of the pavement. I mean, that's typical in an area like this. So, any other comments from the board before we close it to the taking of testimony? Bob?
I think that the lady that spoke should have a response. And as I recall, the total square footage being applied for here is
5,260. That's building coverage. That means roofed area,
That also includes the boathouse.
which includes the
includes
boathouse.
the boathouse. I happen to agree with you that some of these houses are very large. Unfortunately, this one is not nearly as large as some of the ones we have to deal with. And typically, the zoning does allow relief. I wish personally that they weren't as big, but this one, as I mentioned, at least has stayed back from the water, which is good for the environment, plus it's good for folks that have to see the houses. Most of the waterfront homes, the real impact is from folks on the water. And so I know this doesn't make you feel comfortable, but as these applications go, this one is not nearly as bad as what we have to deal with routinely. Both in terms, there was one earlier this evening that was approved for a house that was, I think, 22 feet back from the top of the coastal bank. It sticks out like a sore thumb, but
I noticed in the previous presentation, at least if I was looking at it correctly, there are houses right side by side with that house. Whereas in this situation, there are two massive houses, one on either side of this proposed house. And as far as the lot is concerned, it is high. It's higher than the...
I don't doubt it, but as David points out...
I know where I stand when I stand and look at it on the road, and I know how high up it is. And I know how high up it was before the existing house that was previously there was raised. So I know, that it is higher. And it will be massively high when it's finished.
I know, but as David points out, one of the things that we have to consider is it compatible with other houses in the neighborhood? And as David points out,
It's not
unfortunately...
compatible with my 616 square foot cottage,
I-
which is right across the street.
I agree, but unfortunately, it's a waterfront lot, and that's
I
what
know,
we have to...
I realize that. But we also have to realize that progress isn't always good.
I totally agree with you.
And we respect your comments, believe me. It's not an easy job that we have.
Oh, I know, and I give you credit for
And,
it.
sir, I didn't get your name for the record.
Ed Van Giesen.
Ed Van Giesen.
Van Giesen, V-A-N-G-I-E-Z-E-N.
Thank you.
David, may I ask you, are there any plans to do landscaping?
Oh, yes, there's a full landscape plan that was submitted with the notice of intent.
So would
There's
that-
native plantings on the bank, there'll be privacy plantings along the road, once the house is
So there
built.
will be some kind of landscaping buffer zone?
A buffer, correct. Yes.
So it will be, you won't be looking from the road right into the windows of the house. You're gonna have screening?
Yeah, there'll be screening.
Okay. Thank you. I'm gonna close the meeting to the taking of testimony. Could I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor, Sibel?
Yes.
David, aye.
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Yes.
Austin, okay. So, I'm inclined to support the project, and I think if someone makes a motion, we should also include in our motion, the fact that the Conservation Commission has issued an order of conditions for the project to ensure the respect for their aspects for the site, and that should probably be made part of our motion.
I would move that we approve the application for 65 Towhee Lane with the understanding that the order of conditions from the Orleans Conservation Commission will be made a part of and a requirement of said approval.
Aye.
No, second?
Second.
And moved and seconded. All those in favor, Sibel?
Aye.
David, aye.
Aye.
Matthew?
Yes.
Austin?
Yes.
Okay, so it passes unanimously.
Thank you, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen.
Off the record, since I never attended a board meeting, but I've lived here for 15 years, what might be nice is if we know the names of these board members when we're looking at them. When you fellas say Austin and John and what, I have no idea who these people are, but maybe that's my fault. So you
listed
put
on the
Mulligan's
town
name up
website.
and the other one name, you know, I'd like to know who these people are.
Well, they are up there, but they
Who are
have
they? Oh, they're up in the
very
lane, maybe
little.
I
if you-
can't see it.
I know, if you went closer to the
Yeah.
screen, you would be able to see.
Okay, my
the-
fault, I couldn't even read that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members.
Thank you.
Good night.
So we don't have any other business.
Motion to adjourn.
Been moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor?
Yay.
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Good night, guys.
Okay, good night. Thank you.